Welcome, thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about some myths or maybe some misunderstandings about fall gardening. You know, in the last few days, I've noticed a lot of people have some questions about fall gardening, and we're going to try to answer some of those for you today. Welcome to the Row by Row Gardening Show, the best dadgum gardening show on the internet, where we talk about gardening, a little bit of cooking, and growing your own food. Now sit back and enjoy. Well, it's been kind of a rough week for us, but we're getting through it. I lost my father Sunday morning, and we got the funeral later this afternoon. If you don't know, we normally pre-record this on Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, so we have the funeral today at 4 o'clock. So we're going to get through the day.
Yeah,
and
it's going to be hard, but we're going to get through it.
Yep. So we'll talk about fall gardening a little bit, and I've noticed we get customer service emails and other things about what to do when. And that really caused me to think, because what did we do before the internet?
Farmer's Almanac.
I really didn't.
You did?
I did.
I didn't either.
It just sounded good.
Well, so many people refer to it. They have
Yep.
questions and they're referencing it. A lot of people, I remember my granddaddy had a Farmer's Almanac.
There you touched on something. So I really had some time on my hands, so I was sitting there thinking, how did we used to learn how to do certain things? I have picked up over the years certain bits of nuggets on how to do things or learn how to do them. And I realized at what point, the way I got this from people telling me, older gardeners or people that gardened before, I would ask them questions and they would tell me, and I would maybe take that information, mold it a little bit to make it work for me, and I would use that as a starting point to be able to grow something. Because I never grew carrots 20 years ago. We never grew, and we gardened ever since we was married? Or before
Since I was
married.
about 2 years old.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a family garden since we've been married, which has been a minute or two, in case you didn't know. But we always grew the things like tomatoes and things like that. So once the internet come along, it allowed information to be a lot more out there. People get readily, and I think it was a good thing. However, we have some misinformation out there.
Yeah, you have to really check your source.
Yeah. Everybody's brother-in-law thinks he's an expert nowadays, and they're really
That's
not.
the only bad thing is everybody can put anything
Right.
out there. There's no checker.
Right, but the good thing is they use information out. We're back in our day, there was not any information out there. So we're going to talk about that day. I used to mess up. I still mess up sometimes, but I used to mess up a lot more because I didn't have a clue what I was doing on certain things. We didn't do a lot of fall gardening where we do now. We realized that fall gardening is a huge thing, and back in the day, we might have planted a little broccoli or cabbage, but we didn't do it to
mustard.
Mustard, we always planted mustard. We didn't do it to the extent we do today.
Now, we didn't grow broccoli or cauliflower growing up.
Not growing up, we didn't either, but I'm talking about earlier in mine, your marriage, we did a little bit. So anyway, we're going to talk about that. First things first is let's talk about carrots. So some people out there is thinking it's time to plant carrots. Well, it may be if you're in zone 6 or something like that right there. But for us here in the deep south, it's not quite time yet. Some people's wanting to jump the gun a little bit, have a little patience. So we're going to talk about, first of all, carrots. Carrots germinate best when temperatures are between 55 and 65. Now this is I got this information off the internet. I was cheating a little bit. But this can be a little misleading because we have nighttime temperatures, we have daytime temperatures. So you got to kind of keep all that. Normally it takes 14, 21 days. Now that's under ideal conditions because we know carrots can be slow. They can stand it down as low as 40 degrees in the daytime and as high as 75 if there's enough moisture. I'm going to tweak that a little bit. I think up to around 80 degrees at most during daytime.
But over 80, it affects their germination.
Yes. So this is what I will tell you folks in zone 8 and 9. October is going to be a wonderful month for you to plant your carrots. Even if we get into the 1st of November, it's okay to plant them then. But October seems to be a great month for us to really go all in on fall gardening with such things as radishes, beets, and carrots. There's something about the length of daylight in October, especially the first part of October, and the temperature that spurs a lot of growth there. And I'll tell you the reason. You can fact check me on this right here. I want you to notice when most of the weeds come up in your yard. Those winter weeds are going to emerge in October and November. So You probably don't see it, but those seeds are actually sprouting around the 1st to the 15th of October. That is a great time for germination right there. And you'll start seeing those weeds more and more in November, the small weeds. But the germination optimal time there, and it has to do with not only just with the length of daylight in the day that spurs all that on. It's just a natural thing. So therefore, with certain things as carrots, radishes, beets, am I leaving anything out? That is a great time to plant them. Now let's talk about brassicas for just a minute. Now brassicas, you can get a little bit of a head jump on that. You can plant them earlier. We still start selling plugs next month. You can plant your brassicas, and when I say brassicas, I'm talking about your cauliflower, your cabbage, your broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all that kind of stuff. You can plant those a little bit earlier. You're going to have to probably watch a little bit on your insect damage, probably spray them a little bit more, but they will take higher temperatures. Now, they don't like August for us here in the deep south, but when we get into September, our nights start cooling down, they seem to do a little bit better. Going to probably have to keep them watered and just maybe tend to them a little bit more. There's something about when that cold weather hits them, they turn a little bit better. So you want to plan on planting those brassicas so that when you get into the first part of November, you start getting some harvest off of it. And by the time we ramp up to Thanksgiving, your garden is giving you a lot, because we always love to cook out the garden around Thanksgiving. So we can start planting those brassicas in September and plant them again after that. Keep you a crop coming along there so that you have a steady harvest all during the wintertime there. Most of those brassicas, carrots, radishes, beets, and all that will take a little bit of cold weather. Not a lot, but a little bit of cold weather. So there you go. Hope that helps you there on that. I got to do a little bit of housekeeping first. We've been having some complaints about off types on beans. And I want to talk about this just for a minute.
What off type mean?
That's a good question. What does off type mean? Off type means it's a different type variety mixed into your ones you planted. And we're seeing this with Blue Lake bush bean. This is a problem we've had for the last couple of years, at least the last couple of years. But if you love to plant bush beans, you're probably in the majority. There's a lot of people who love that variety. It's an older variety. It's been around for a long time. So Blue Lake, these new teeth get me. Blue Lake pole bean has been around since the 20s. But around 1961, they took that Blue Lake pole bean and did some work with it and made a Blue Lake bush bean. So the Blue Lake bush bean is where we have the problem with off types. And here's what the problem is. There's really one breeder in the United States that grows the majority of these Blue Lake bush beans. And over a period of time, they've had some contamination in some of their seed fields. And we'll see those off types in there. And what you'll do if you plant bush beans, you'll see a plant every now and then that's just totally different from the rest of them. We call that off types. They're doing their best to clean this up, but what I want to tell you is it doesn't matter where you buy your Blue Lake bush bean seed from. They're all much coming from the same breeder. So it is an issue that you're going to have with Blue Lake bush beans. There's off types in there. They have promised us they're working on that, trying to clean it up some.
Is it worse this year than last year?
No, it's just, no, I don't think it's worse. Actually, it should be getting a little bit better. But our Halcinator Green Blaze does not have that issue. There are some varieties that don't have that issue, but the Blue Lake bush bean is known to have off types in it. And we get, the customer service told me I need to mention that, we get a decent amount of people calling in and writing in about that. It's just what it is. So hopefully it'll get better over a period of time. These older varieties such as Blue Lake and things like that's been around for a long time, you start to see lose some of their genetics and lose some of their purity over a period of time. That's the reason we like to go with some of these newer varieties from time to time to clean up those genetics and purity of them. And I'm going to tell you the one that's rocking right now is Green Blaze. Green Blaze is rocking it. Everybody that plants it loves it. So if you want to switch to something else, that would be one. The reason everybody loves Blue Lake is stringless. It matured all pretty much at the same time. It was a good straight bean. It was a wonderful bean back in the day, but I think there are better ones out there nowadays. All right, housekeeping out of the way. What are we going to talk about today?
Peas.
Peas. What kind of peas?
English peas.
For our neighbors up north, we have two different kind of peas. We got English peas and cow peas. When we say peas in the south, we're talking about cow peas. When you say peas up north, you're talking about English peas. So we're talking about English peas today. And English peas is something I have grown for a long time. is something that I have always struggled with because timing is really important on planting English peas. But it's one of those things, it was probably, to me, one of the first things that I recognized that I grew in the garden that had totally different flavor to it than store-bought.
And fresh.
And fresh. Is there anything any better than having fresh English peas and those fresh new potatoes?
Get them in your mouth and they pop.
Yep.
It's like some of them are so sweet. It's like candy.
Yep. So if you're not a fan of English peas and you've always eat them out of the can, I understand. We don't buy them in the can because the taste and flavor and texture of them is totally different when you grow them fresh in the garden. Can be done, but don't just get discouraged if you fail because we have all failed. And I still continue to fail sometimes with English peas.
You know who got a good crop this year is my mother.
Yep.
In her raised beds, I picked them 3 times for her and canned them. And I think they picked them more than that.
Yep. They're a cool season, what we consider a cool season crop. So they don't like the hot weather like cowpeas do, completely opposite of that. They will take some cold once that plant gets up and established. They'll take a good bit of cold, but they will not take cold when they first come up. So if you plant those and you get a cold spell when they first come up, you're going to lose your English peas.
They're going to stress.
They're going to stress and they're just going to die on you. But if they get on up, you'll be surprised how much cold they take. So let's talk about that right there. First of all, let's talk about different kinds of them because this is kind of interesting right here. Peas. Sugar snap peas.
Super sugar snap.
Super sugar snaps. If you've ever eaten them at the on the salad bar sometimes right here, this is what you eat. This is where you eat the whole pea. And we call these sugar snaps, and they are sweet right there. All right, now this particular, they seem to have a superior flavor. You don't let them get completely filled out because you don't shell these. You eat pea pod and all. These things have what they call indeterminate vines. They get decent sized vines on, but they produce heavy bearing fruit, this variety right here. And this particular one is 64 days mature. So this is one of the earlier maturing ones. Now all these peas, whether it be sugar snap or the regular sugar, they all grow the same. You'll plant them the same. They're just going to mature off maybe a little bit different product there. But if you love the sugar snap peas and you want to eat them whole,
that's the one.
This is the one to go for right here. All right, but what about if you want the shelling pea? This right here is probably the oldest variety around and probably the most popular variety around. It's called the green Arab pea. And the reason is, folks, this is an English heirloom pea and it has a high yield. It has those dense pods and 60 days maturity. So this was a little bit quicker maturing than even one we just talked about. This is your average green pea that you shell. It's not the real big one. It's not the real small one. This is a good variety. And if you love heirlooms, you can save the seeds. This is the way to go right here. One of our newer varieties, and this is one of my favorites. It's not my favorite. We won't get to the favorite there. And this is one of my favorites, is Sugar Prince pea. And this is a hybrid English pea variety that's really hybrid productivity, disease resistance, and this is the cool thing about this. You can harvest it either way. So this is a dual purpose pea right here. You can harvest this as snow peas when they're young, and if some of them get by you or you want to let them mature out, then you can let them mature out and you can shell them. So that's one of the reasons I love the Sugar Prince pea variety here, because it has that dual purpose as a snow pea and as a shelling pea. So Sugar Prince pea here, let's see here. Now it's got 70 days of maturity. It's going to take it just a little bit longer to mature out. I'm going to save the next one I had on my list for last because it is my favorite. Let's go with Oregon Sugar Pod Pea. Now this right here is a variety that's a high yielding sugar pea. This is again one of those ones you would eat the whole pod, but this is probably the highest yielding variety we have. Now this is what's kind of different about this variety here. It has more of a compact bush to it. So if you're not going to trellis one,
that's the one. This
is the one right here to use. The plants are compact. They only get to 28 to 30 inches tall, and they don't require trellising like the rest of them. Folks, I'm going to get used to these new teeth after a while. All right. This right here is known as a double podded variety, which means it produces 2 pods per plant node, 60 days to maturity.
And they can get up to 4.5 inches long.
Yeah. You know, I think this would be one of the choices for raised beds, especially if you're not going to trellis it.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think another. Okay, I got my notes all mixed up. Little marble pea here. This is a good one right here. This is a favorite one for people love for stir fry right here.
It's also good for canning.
Yep. Delicious right here. 60 days to maturity. I guess it's a little smaller pea than maybe some of the rest of them there. So.
And you can use actually the whole in your stir fry.
Yep. I'm assuming probably a lot of your Asian dishes probably use this particular one right here. All right, and we're gonna go with Mr. Big P. All right, folks.
Now, I like that one.
I like this one too. This one right here is Mr. Big P. The name implies this is a big pea. This is an improved variety known for its large pods and heavy yields. This one right here was an All-American selection winner for productivity and taste. Easy to shell, probably one of the easiest shelling ones out there. 60 days to maturity.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about it is if you let them get too big, the flavor's a little off.
Yep. So you got to keep
There's
them
like a
shelled.
little after taste.
Yep.
They're not good if you. Some of the others are more forgiving if you don't pick them, but this one ain't quite as forgiving if it gets too big.
Easiest to shell, however, and you're gonna need to trellis this one right here. So Mr. Big P is a good one right there. All right, let's save my last one. It's my favorite one at the moment, and you'll see the reason why, folks. Magnolia Blossom Pea. You grew this one last year.
I did.
I grew some of it too. All right, this one right here is an outstanding plant. This is a sugar snap pea. It's an open pollinator. That means you can save your seeds, folks. Crunchy green pods, sweet flavor. But perhaps the best part of this plant is it produces edible tendrils.
You tasted some.
I did. So you can actually eat the tendrils. The very end, you can put those in a stir fry or salad or whatever.
And they're gorgeous.
Gorgeous, man. The bloom color on these right here absolutely is amazing. You can walk out there. If you don't plant this, but for no other to enjoy the flowers off of it, this thing is beautiful. And the flowers are edible.
Now, Tracy takes the flowers and makes a tea out of them.
I did not know that. Yep, Tracy at Just Dig It Farms. Yep. So Magnolia, we just carried it. This is a new variety for us last year. It's sturdy vines. It'll grow between 5 to 8 foot tall. Now you trellised yours with holding over trellis last year. It worked pretty good, didn't it?
It worked real good, yeah.
Yep.
I had problems with rabbits eating.
Yeah, it says harvest just before the strings on the pods turn red for peak flavor.
Yeah.
A little bit longer, 70 days to maturity. So this is one of the longer matured ones out there. But it lasted a long time for you. You kept them picked. Definitely, folks, you want to trellis this one. If you're not going to trellis it, I wouldn't grow this one. But man,
It's so pretty.
it is. It is. It's wonderful. Like I said, for nothing else, grow it for the bloom. So there you have it, folks. October. I think. Let's think about when we would want to plant these for us. 70 days maturity. All right, let's think about this right here. Our average frost date is middle of November.
But they can take a little frost.
They can take a little frost. So let's back that off, 70 days. Let's back it off from the middle of November. So that's middle of October. Middle of September is 60 days. So I think you should start planting these, your first planting, probably around the middle of September, end of September.
That
I
sounds
think
about
would be
right.
ideal. Now after that, you could probably 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks after that, plant you another planting. But you're taking a little bit of a gamble there. But looking at any time you plant English peas, you're going to be taking a little bit of a gamble.
As long as they're up maybe 2-3 inches, and if it frosts, they're okay. But if
Yeah, but when you get those harder cold spells, they need to be a little bit bigger than that to be able to withstand it. Wonderful things to grow in the fall of the year. They really and truly have very little insect disease problems. The only problem I know with English peas is powdery mildew. You can get powdery mildew on them sometimes, and these are fairly easy to treat. We don't ever treat ours for insect problems. So you don't have insect problems. It's another good thing to plant in springtime, but you want to plant it early because they don't do good once that heat sets in. My personal opinion is that's a lot better of a fall crop than it is a spring crop. Wonderful. All right, folks, maybe we inspired you a little bit on this piece. For some reason or another, a lot of people may not grow these right here. I think everybody, if you're a raised bed garden, if you're a big garden, everybody should be growing some type of snap pea, English pea. Telephone ringing. All right, so we moved on from that. I want to show you one thing right here, and I forgot about it.
Hold on.
All right, folks. I hadn't been doing a knife of the week for the last couple of weeks, but I got to show this one right here. As I mentioned, my dad died Sunday morning, and we was going through some of his stuff. And I knew this knife existed.
I'm sorry.
I knew this knife existed. I just didn't know where it was at because I hadn't seen it for a while. But I found this right here, and when I did, I was joyful because I hadn't seen it for a long time, but I knew it was there, and I knew I wanted it. So I found my dad's old knife. Now this right here, folks, is an old timer, but it's a USA-made old timer. He toted this knife forever till he got way on up in age where he didn't tote it quite so much anymore. But I have a lot of fond memories of this knife right here. So I'm a little bit torn whether to send it off to somebody and get it redone. Yeah, they restore these type knives. I'm a little bit torn or just leave it like it is.
Because you're afraid you might lose it.
Well, but I just don't know if I want to do that or leave it like, I don't know, I'm torn about that.
I would leave it like it is.
Yeah.
I don't think you would tote it and use it.
I'm not going to tote it and use it. I don't have no intention of doing that.
It's pretty used, isn't it?
So my question to you guys, because I really want to know this right here. What did your father or grandfather tote? What kind of knife did he tote? The majority of you out there is going to say Case, Uncle Henry, or Old Timer back in the day. That was the three.
I think my daddy carried Old Timer.
I think he did too. So what did your dad or granddad carry as knife, and what has fond memories to you? This knife to me right here has the memory for me. My dad always toted a USA-made Old Timer. He didn't never tote a Case. So it was always an old timer for him. So let me know. It'd be interesting to know. This is going to, I'm going to probably end up handing this down at some point, but I can't do it right now. I'm going to keep it for a while.
Can't let go of it.
Can't let go of it. All right, so let's move on. We got Garden Spotlight of the Week.
This is Gary Holloway from Dakula,
Sounds good to me.
Georgia. He said, I thought you might like to see y'all's success from North Georgia, Halcinator on the left and rear, while Shelby's on the right. And for scale, his son is 6'2".
My goodness. Yep. He grew some tomatoes, didn't he? Yep. And his son's rocking that cooler shirt. Yep. Look at those tomatoes there. Wow.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. You got the tomato thing going
Looks
on,
like
buddy.
a jungle, don't it?
Yep. All right. So on the set here somewhere, folks, is the old goat. And the old goat, he's been watching the Olympics a little bit. So he got a little extravagant this week, and he's hanging out on the set.
He's doing some flips.
Doing some flips. But if you find the old goat in the set here somewhere, put in the comments below, and next week we'll draw this week's winner. But last week's winner is... Oh, why can't we get somebody with a simple name? Oh, that's pretty good. Karen's Alabama Life. Look at there, Karen. Karen Alabama Life is last week's winner. Karen, send us your shipping information to
support@growhouse.com.
Yep.
And we'll send you a pair of Get Dirty socks.
Get Dirty socks here. We had a lot. Somebody sent a picture the other day wearing their Get Dirty socks. Look at there, Karen.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know, can I buy a pair? No,
you can't buy a pair.
Only special.
Only special. All right.
Petals from the Past.
Petals to the Past.
September 14th, Jemison, Alabama.
Yep, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it or not, but they're having a big thing there. We went last year, folks. I guarantee you will enjoy it if you make the trip there. It's in the middle part of Alabama. Look it up on Google Maps. If it's a day trip for you, by all means do it. And even if you have to go spend the night, it's a good weekend trip. Just to visit the Petals to the Past Garden Center and see some of the fruit trees and blueberry bushes and blackberry bushes that Jason and his father do. The pruning techniques they use apple trees, man, you name it, these guys are the experts. So, and then all of our friends will be there. So make sure, if you can, to attend the Pedals to the Past. I think you'll enjoy it. All right. Thank y'all for joining us. I'm getting excited about fall gardening, which got me all pumped up today about planting English peas. I'm a little behind
Which one you gonna plant?
I don't know. I'm either going to plant Mr. Big P or Magnolia probably. I like sugar snaps. I may plant me a few sugar snaps. I'm just torn. Just torn.
Reminder, we got strawberries
Oh, yeah, I
pre-selling,
forgot about that.
garlic pre-selling. Has onion started yet?
No, onions haven't started yet. But we're going to have onion plants this fall. We're just in the middle of getting all that scheduled out. So we got strawberry plants, we got garlic.
And the plugs.
And the plugs. We're going to have the plugs in September. So go check that out if you're interested in any of that for the fall garden.
And for the plugs, we're going to have them, what, maybe 4 weeks?
4 to 5 weeks. We'll
Right.
see how it goes.
So if you're in a zone that it's not time to plant them, don't order them the 1st of September.
Right. We'll have them every week.
We'll have them every week. So wait till it's right for you. Because when you get them in the mail, they're going to either need to go in a container
Or the ground.
or the ground.
Yep. These are plugs, by the way. All right, folks, thank you for joining us. If you haven't, make plans to get out there and get those hands in the dirt and get dirty.